My name is Ravi Brambhat, and I'm one of the board directors for Foundation for India Studies. And for our 60th interview, I wanted to try doing something new and just go live. And this is part of Indo-American Oral History Project. And for this interview, we record senior citizens that have been in this Houston for over 30, 40 years and just captured their story and submitted to the Harris County Public Library for archiving. It's ever so important that we capture these stories of our elders so that we can learn from them and then also be inspired by them. So today I have with me Mr. Vinod Patel. So thank you so much for lending
Thank
us
you.
this beautiful venue, and I hope we're being we're live streaming on Facebook. So I hope that's okay with you. I know.
Yes, that's fine with me.
So I surprised him in the morning. I said, "We'll just go live. We'll try this out. If it doesn't work, we'll do it again." But I call him Vinod Dada. So if you hear me say that a couple of times and just call him Dada, it's I'm referring to him. But Mr. Patel, tell us a little bit about when you were born and when did you come into this country, the U.S.
I born in small village in Gujarat, India. It's called name is Ode,
Ode.
ODE. It's in Kera district in Gujarat. Now as far as I came in 1968 to this country. At that time, my last residence was in New Delhi. I left New Delhi and came to.
So if you don't mind, what year were you born?
I was born in 1938.
So 1930 of India was very different than the India of today.
Oh yeah.
So this is under British rule. So any stories you remember between 38 and 47 before independence?
Yes, little bit.
And you're very young.
I was real young. I think in 1947 when we got independence. At that time, I think I was in second grade, and I remember they gave us a little flag in our hand, and we marched a little bit in the city area, and that's what I remember. And they gave us some sweet to eat. That was the celebration, as far as
Wow.
I remember. But I do remember when I became about 10, 11 years old, and my father was pretty well influenced by Gandhiji, and so
Mahatma Gandhi.
Mahatma Gandhi, and so all my brother and sisters, we all are somewhat influenced by him.
Could you share what was your father's profession? How many kids the family he had?
Yeah. We were 5 brothers and 2 sisters, and my father was an elementary school teacher. But we had a farmland and we had farming too. So we were surviving not only on father's income from teaching, but mainly we were dependent on farming.
So when you say farming, you mean a village, cattle, land,
we had
buffalo. Wow.
We had a couple of buffaloes, cow, ox cart.
So were you at one point required to go farm on the land? Like, did your dad really?
Yes, we had to go.
So your first profession was a farmer.
Farmer. And but
okay,
my 2 older brothers, they studied up to SSC, secondary school, high school, and they couldn't took education further.
So-
I'm the only hope in the family that I can be something. So
So then, why was that? Why was that? Why was education so important to you? Was it? I mean, your father was a teacher, so this
Right.
was obviously, must have been
Yeah.
driven in you in back
Yeah.
in early India.
correct,
That you must get educated.
right.
So tell us why what made you want to pursue education, because that has a lot to do with you coming to the States, I assume.
Right.
So share why is education so important?
Really speaking,
Hmm.
our family was not a poor but lower middle class family. We were about 9 family members in the home,
Hmm.
and so that pursued me for the higher education because I want to uplift my family.
Hmm.
So I passed the SSC and then I up to inter science, which is 2 years in the college. I was in Nadia, and then my engineering I finished in Vidyanagar.
So
I
so your passion was really driven because of the need to support
need
the family
support the family
social status at the time.
at that
So
time.
you went to Vidyanagar, which is known for its colleges. What did
Yes.
you study?
I studied first. I studied
Hmm.
mechanical engineering, and then I finished my electrical engineering.
Do you remember the years when you?
Yes, 1962.
62. Okay.
I passed my mechanical engineering and diploma, and earned the diploma. And in 64, I earned my diploma in electrical engineering.
Electrical engineering.
And as soon as I uh, my result came, and
Mhm.
within 1 month I start working in Gujarat refinery as a draftsman, electrical draftsman.
Electrical draftsman.
Yeah.
Can you describe what the job required you to do? Like, if you remember, or
Yes.
can share a detail of
Yeah,
what was it like early India?
this was early India, and this is the first refinery.
Uh-huh.
They were uh, trying to train the engineers from India
Hmm.
through Russian engineers.
Russian engineers. Wow. Some of our youth wouldn't realize that it's not about globalization today. We were globalized back then
Back then
in Gujarat,
in
which
Gujarat.
is a state of okay. So Russian engineers, okay, working on its first refinery.
And it was a deal like a 40% engineering will be done in India, 60% will be done by Russian in Russia. Same thing with the, so they train us pretty good, and after 3 years, they took us.
What did they train you in, if you don't mind me asking? So is
Yeah.
it electrical? Was it mechanical, structural?
No, I was in electrical, so I was trained for electrical drafting and designing.
Like making circuit boards or making
No, making power distribution
power distribution? Okay.
and control systems
Mhm.
like that. And once that project was done,
Mhm.
almost, and then whole staff, they moved to New Delhi and they established a new company called Engineers India Limited
It's a company.
company.
Okay,
This
not an
was-
affiliation or a group.
No, company.
Okay,
And
company.
it was collaboration between
Mhm.
Bechtel Corporation of USA
Bechtel. Okay.
and government of India. So
Wow.
more.
So just to, it's about 1964 time
It
or
was
66?
65.
65.
65, middle of 65.
Wow. Most people don't realize, but that was over 40 years ago, 50 years. Oh, no, my math started, but definitely over 40 for sure.
Correct.
Wonderful. Wow, 45 plus. So, okay, and then you go to New Delhi.
New Delhi, and
This company is
no,
formed. You're part of it because you're trained.
yeah,
Tell us more.
and they promoted me from draftsman to electrical designer.
From draftsman to
From
designer.
yeah to designer. Designer has more responsibility
Okay.
in the sense is not only drawing, but he is designing how the circuit will work, how the control will work, that kind of thing. More detail, more thinking, engineering wise, and preparing drawings.
Can you describe New Delhi at this time? Was there a lot of buildings, a lot less buildings, a lot of roads?
This is the
Were there still
best
cars?
best time in my life
Really?
because the New Delhi in those days,
Uh-huh.
very few cars, very few buses running. Sometimes I was walking about 4 miles to my office, and there is nobody in the morning you can see. There is open roads, and it was so nice in those days. And it was very safe.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends was coming and visiting to us.
Mm-hmm.
In the night time at 10 o'clock, he was walking about 10 miles and coming to my home,
Mm-hmm.
place,
Yeah.
and
Very safe place to be at the
very
time.
safely. And he was going back to.
So you were a bachelor at this time,
At
right?
the-
Not married.
Right.
When did you get married? Just for frame of reference, what year was that?
No, I was married.
Oh, you were married.
In the Delhi,
Uh-huh.
yes, I was married.
So when you moved to Delhi, you were already married.
Yeah, 65 I got married.
In 1965, around the same time you went from Vidyanagar to, okay.
Right.
So tell us about your wife. Her name,
Yeah.
her occupation, if you worked, and then how did you guys meet? I mean, it's always interesting to me.
My wife was from Africa. They were.
Africa.
She is born in Lindi, Tanzania, and
Wow.
and some financial difficulties back in Africa. They moved back to India,
Mm-hmm.
and my father was knowing the family, so we got.
Was this arranged?
Arranged marriage.
Arranged marriage.
We got married.
Who said who said okay first? Her dad or your dad?
I don't know who said first, but at least we agreed to marry.
So you didn't have a choice, huh?
Not really. It was choice because my father took me to their home, and
You met.
We met each other. We talked,
Mm-hmm.
and mainly I was at the time dreaming to go abroad,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish that she can speak English, and she was speaking English.
Uh-huh. That was the qualifier.
That's qualified. And then we got married. And,
Mm-hmm.
we had a very good time in.
Did you get married in Doh, the village, or was it a city?
Yeah, that's Nadia.
Okay. So
town, you can.
So you got married. You were in New Delhi. Was she with you in New Delhi, or
yeah, she came to
with
New
you?
Delhi, and
did she work in New Delhi?
No, she never worked.
It wasn't normal at the time.
Right, she never worked. But we had one child, and her name is Nisha.
Mm-hmm.
At that time.
So this is now the 65, 66.
66.
Okay.
And then I decided, and one of the local doctor encouraged me to go to USA. At the time, still my financial situation was not that great. She bought the ticket,
Really?
She arranged
So
everything.
your airfare to the US was paid by the courtesy of a doctor
Doctor.
that you knew.
Yeah.
Was it your doctor or was it a family
No,
friend or
family friend.
family friend?
Yeah. And
Wow.
she paid.
So you borrowed money to come to the
Right.
country.
Come to the country.
So then how did you come to the country? Were you on some sort of a green card, F1,
Yes.
student visa, green card?
I
So
came.
explain that, yeah.
In those days, they were giving engineers directly a green card to come because
That's
there were
right.
shortage of engineers here. So
You fly straight to Houston?
no, I took a
No, okay.
stoppage, couple of stoppage. One in Rome. I stopped, and there was my friend there. So we sightseeing and everything, and then I
So was
stopped at
this was
London.
you and wife and one daughter?
Yeah, but at that time I came alone. First
Oh, you
time.
were alone?
Yeah, I came alone. I stopped at London and then came to New York.
So you
And
must tell me, what was Rome and London like in the 66, 67, 8? A
in
lot of
Rome,
cars?
no, Rome was beautiful because I was interested in a lot of art.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked so much. And at that time, I remember St. Petersburg,
Uh-huh.
you can walk in just like that. Nowadays, you cannot go
No, no,
in
yeah.
that. And in those days, he took me that old, okay, no,
Mhm.
old monuments.
A lot of
Around,
sightseeing.
lots of sightseeing.
So that was because airlines didn't go directly to town. You had to stop in different cities. You probably had a long hold.
Yeah.
And
One or
visas
two
weren't
days,
required.
and then I came to New York.
Okay. So you landed in New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at that time, I had $8 in my pocket.
$8. Do you remember the currency rate at the time? Like dollar to rupee?
I think it was $30.
Around 30? Okay.
Around 30.
Wow. So today is about 66,
68.
68, right? Yeah. So you landed in New York. Did you stay and work in New York or did you move
Right.
from New York elsewhere?
No, I stayed with my friend,
Okay.
and I was lucky enough that within 15 days I got a proper job as an electrical designer.
Within 15 days.
Yeah, within 15 days.
That was that much of a shortage.
Shortage of
The demand for the wow.
So I had a couple of choice too. One was in Connecticut and one was in New York. So I took a New York job and I started. But within a year or so, I realized that this is too cold for my wife.
The weather was too cold.
And because she had
That's true. Most Indians realize New York is too cold.
So I decided to move to Houston.
So when did you move to Houston, or how did that happen? Because you had work,
Right.
and how long did you stay in New York?
About 10 months.
10 months.
New York, and then I came
without wife and daughter.
Right.
And back then there was no video conferencing to see them.
No.
So how did you tell her that it was too cold? Did you call or
no?
They
were letters.
Letters.
And it was taking 2 weeks to
I have
get
to tell my
answer. And sometimes a month before I got some letter back. But slowly that improved, and it was about I think per minute something like $3 per minute to talk to India.
Whoa! So the conversations had to be quick.
Quick. But we were not talking on the phone because other end we didn't have a phone. Somebody's phone you use. And
so how did you come to Houston after 10 months of New York?
After 10 months of New York, I decided I will move somewhere, not in
warmer.
In New York, warmer. So one of my friends was here in Houston. He said, "Come, look at it, look around. If you like, you can apply for the job. Probably you will get a job. That should not be any problem. So I came. I stayed for a week,
Mm-hmm.
and
1 week.
1 week, and before I left, I talked to one of the engineering company on Friday. It was, I remember.
So you must
They,
have interviewed with them.
yeah,
Okay.
interviewed with them. They right away offered me the job. He said, "When can you join?" I said, "Monday morning." And they were surprised. Can you? I said, "Yeah, you will see
Wait,
me then."
did they know that you were working in New
New
York and
York,
you
yes.
probably had an apartment in New York?
Yeah.
So over the weekend you left.
Packed up and
You packed up and you moved to Houston.
yes,
What company? Do you remember the company?
yes, company was
Floor.
Floor Corporation.
Yes, they're still around.
Yeah.
So is
Still around.
Bechtel. So is
So
Bechtel.
is Bechtel. Yes.
Good.
And I worked for about a year with Floor,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time engineering was slow.
What was the title of the job that you took?
I was still as a electrical designer working.
Designer.
And then I had a layoff, and I had to move to Baton Rouge.
So help me with the timeline now. So 68, you were in around Houston, or 69, 70 Houston?
69, 70, I was in New York,
In New York.
New Jersey area.
Okay. So
And
when did you move to Houston?
Houston, I end of the 1970.
19, so Houston of 1970. Tell me a little bit about the culture here. Were you shocked? Was there a difference between, Indian culture, New Yorkan culture, right? New York also has a culture.
Right.
And then Houston, was there a very different?
At that time,
Mm-hmm.
I was I was very much attached and feeling homesickness that time too.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't pay much attention to is it discrimination or this or that or
Were
cultural.
you? Did you have any experiences where you were discriminated?
No,
No. Okay.
no.
Okay.
But I was in working with Floor, and I had no problem with the people or any work problem or anything else.
So I've heard stories from other interviews we've done where there's a guy with a big Texan hat and the boots and his legs are on the table and he's like, "Howdy, partner." Was that really? Did that ever happen to you?
That was my impression.
Okay.
Before coming, but it wasn't like that. It's just like us, any common people, no?
Okay.
And so after that,
was there a lot of diversity in Houston at that time? Were there a lot of Russians and Italians and
no,
Mexicans?
compared to New York, this was not many. Mostly
Caucasian,
Mexican
whites, or
and
Hispanic?
white and black.
Okay.
But there was no difficulty for me in acquiring job or carry on the job.
What about like food? There was a lot of vegetarian options or not?
Yes, this was a story at that time. In Houston, there was no Indian shop or restaurant or
Oh my God.
anything. So we have to depend on American food. But I can cook, and I am.
So you learned how to cook quickly, huh?
Quickly. And there was not much problem. But in those days, there was no Indian grocery either. So we were ordering grocery from New York sometimes, once in a while.
Wow.
Indian grocery. But those were the days. But at that time, I was alone, so I didn't felt much. But still, I was very much attached with India, and you will surprise that I took my citizenship after 25 years
So yeah, you mentioned you had your green card, but you
Yeah.
didn't apply. Normally, you can after 5 years you could,
Right.
but
Right.
you took 22
Two,
years before you became a
25
U.S. citizen.
years citizen.
Wow,
And that
and
was that
and
much I
that much pride for
India.
one. Okay. I wanted to go back and capture that segment about Exxon plant
Right.
in Louisiana. You mentioned you were one of the very few that
Indian.
that was Indians working at this plant. Um, what happened at that time that you came to Houston? Because you traveled back.
Right.
So what happened? Was there another
I
layoff, or was there?
No.
Hmm.
I resigned there,
You resigned. Okay.
but my
So
boss
from
and
Fluor to ExxonMobil,
to BSNB.
B
BSNB.
BSNB. Yes.
Black Civilas and Bryson, something like that.
Okay.
That was the company.
Mhm.
I worked in that company about 5 years, but most practical knowledge I acquired in this 5 years
Mhm.
to build my career uh, because I exposed to a lot of other things, including construction, bid evolution,
Mhm.
troubleshooting. All these things were new for me, but they gave me opportunity to explore all this, and I had a good experience.
Mhm. I'm just
Uh,
gonna make sure our mic is okay. You learned a lot from
the,
BSNB, but this what year was this when you can move back to Houston now?
Now I moved back to Houston in '73, and I
73.
I left BSNB in '78. About 5 years I worked straight
But
with
it was
them.
in Houston. Was it based in
No,
Houston?
it
What
was
part of town? In
company was near the 610 loop and 59
so
corner.
so was there a 610 loop in 1973, 4, 5? Was it? I don't think it was complete then, was it?
No, it was complete in 75, but
Okay.
when I came to 70, it was still under construction,
So,
not complete.
so then you must have lived in what is the area called today that where you
I was living nearby Herman Park.
Herman Park?
There, there are some apartments
So most of
there.
Sugarland, where we are today, on this nice, bright, sunny day,
Sunny day.
this didn't exist, or was there was there this much development in this side of town?
No, after I remember this Sugarland was not at all developed. Zero.
Land
Then
prices at that time.
yeah, it was. And when I moved to um, near Bisonet
Mhm.
first time,
Mhm.
even that time up when you go to Highway 6, there is nothing on the Bisonet from Delhi Airport to Highway 6. No development, zero.
So I want to stress that because you know here you are Indian, that's in the country, an engineer. No Indian restaurants were not the chain of restaurants that we appreciate today.
Right.
For Indian cuisine. What about like religious activities, cultural activities? Was there a lot of temples? Was there a lot of a lot of like non-profits at the time that supported Indian Americans?
There was in the University of Houston. There was a
Mm-hmm.
uh, association, or you can say Indian Student Association,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and for if you want to see the movie or something, you have to go to University of
So
Houston. There were
to watch a Bollywood movie.
Bollywood movie.
Uh
Uh,
huh. Wow.
and
Did you ever go to University of Houston to do any studying?
no, I
Okay.
didn't.
So your last studying was your degree in New
Mm,
Delhi. No, Vidyanagar.
Vidyanagar. That's it.
Yes. So there was University of Houston though, huh?
Yeah,
Which all of us hold very dear.
yeah.
I'm a alumni of the college, a lifetime
Right.
alumni. Some
It
college.
was a small campus in those days too. It was not this many
Uh huh.
buildings were there.
Right, right. So
Uh,
okay, what about So the university had a non like student organization, not enough restaurant. What about temples? Were there temples,
well,
mosques?
there wasn't many
But did you go to a temple,
temples.
or you had a wife and a daughter? Did they?
Yes, but I think we started going in temple, which is founded by Prabhupada, Hare Krishna temple,
Hare Krishna temple. Okay.
and I think we were involved pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And every Saturday, Sunday, we were cooking there, serving the people,
A lot of volunteer
and
service. So
but
so for the young Indian Americans today, is that important? I know education's told we're
yeah,
told education's important, but what about the community? What about this religious side? Is that even important, or
I
what are
think
your thoughts?
my thoughts
Mm-hmm.
as far as in the home,
Mm-hmm.
we should have a religious atmosphere,
In the home, you should have a
uh,
religious atmosphere.
and
Okay.
you have to teach your children go to outside temple
Mm-hmm.
or take a part in
Community.
participate in sports and other thing, community activity.
Mm-hmm.
But main thing I think is in the home you should have a good religious atmosphere.
Why is
That
that
will.
important? I mean,
I'm
obviously, it's your
looking at
belief.
the
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the fruits, not due to that.
Uh-huh.
My children were in
Right.
good atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
raised,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
educated well, uh,
They all are
and
doing well.
yeah, and all were doing good, and so we
So it
were
really sets the foundation.
foundation for them, and I'm happy that they got married with Indian boys.
So since we're
All three.
since we're speaking about your daughters, so at the time when part one we talked about one daughter was. Did you have more kids? How
Yeah,
many?
after coming from Baton Rouge
Uh-huh.
back to Houston, then she has to go. I didn't have a insurance, so she went back to India for
For
present
delivery?
delivery.
Was
And
it was
the
medical
second one,
services still cheaper in India than
yes,
in the
yes.
US like today?
Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah, really.
Wow.
So
Okay.
and then
So your second daughter was born in India.
yeah, then she came back again couple of years, and she
Uh-huh.
again she went back. But all my three daughters was born in India.
Wow. Even the parents, are settled with the green card
Yeah,
in the
everybody
States.
has agreed. Yeah.
Wow. So today they all are OCI or something, like
Oh
they're
yeah,
dual
all
citizens
are
of India and the US?
no,
No.
all
But they
are
could be.
yeah, they could be,
Wonderful.
but they are all Indian American citizens.
Sure. So you have three daughters, and all of them married. So
But
you said. So let me ask you: had any of your daughters at the time come and said, "I wanted to marry, a white boy or Hispanic boy"? What does your belief system say about interracial marriages?
and that's why
How are your thoughts on it? Tough question.
it's a tough question. But the way we raise the kids,
Uh huh.
they may not have attracted to white kids or whatever the reason,
Okay.
but all got married with Indian boys.
So is that belief still for your grandkids now? If your grandkids are dating the Indian American youth today.
Yeah, I think it's not my responsibility. Now I pass it on.
What advice would you give to your daughters? I'm trying to get this out of you.
I wish I wish they could still get married with
Sure, sure.
Indian boys or girls.
Just a sense of
Prefer.
pride. You know what's interesting is most folks, that have been in the state, they still have this value for the community, and
Right.
they see, like you said, there's a benefit to the individual. So that's good advice for those listening. But to each his own, right?
Yeah.
But this has seems to work well for you. So can you tell us, other than like involvement in the temple as volunteers, was there any non-profits or anything that you support?
Yes.
Do you run one? Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't run one, but
Mm-hmm.
we were uh, very much involved in Gujarati Samaj of Houston
This is the 80s.
in 80s. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Gujarati Samaj was started at that time, and
Mm-hmm.
we were pretty well, kids also pretty well involved in it. And
What about the Garbas? Were the Garbas
Garba,
still happening?
yeah, the Garbas, and my oldest daughter Nisha was the leading and training the children for Garbas,
Mm-hmm.
and they took
They did.
for about 6-7 years or more
Mm-hmm.
in Garba competition. They won
Wow.
most of the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So for that, was there dance schools around at the time, or how did they learn
Yes.
the
There
the folk
was
dance?
one. There wasn't a dance school for folk dance, but Ratna Kumar was
Sure, we know her well.
running a dance school,
Mm-hmm.
and that is for uh, South Indian
Mm-hmm.
dances like
Mm-hmm.
Kathak and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And my Nisha was uh, almost took a training for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
This was to learn Bharatnatyam.
Bharatnatyam. She,
Wow.
but so she was from the beginning. She was interested in Indian dances. So
How important are those activities today? Like, you still think there's value in learning those things, or no?
yes, I do.
Why?
I'm a little bit biased about the FIS as far as culture is concerned. I'm
Mm-hmm.
biased.
Sure,
The
sure.
Indian culture is much richer and
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot to learn.
Lot to learn from India.
Mm-hmm.
Even though somebody will say, I will say, go to India.
Mm-hmm.
Just move around in India, you will learn a lot. By just looking and thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to do. You don't have to communicate with, because you may not be able to communicate too,
Mm-hmm.
because some of the states have a different language and they don't know even Hindi. So
do you travel to India often now?
yes,
You do.
I do.
How often?
Every year, almost.
Every year.
Last 12 years, I'm going every year.
Why? do you still have a family there, or
no.
what purpose?
The purpose is for my daughter. I'm running my daughter's charity work to be done in
A charity
India.
foundation?
Foundation.
Mm-hmm. A trust.
And that's why I'm going.
So what does this foundation or trust do?
Foundation is mainly, we saw there is some, if you'll give some cash to somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
is misuse. So
Okay.
every
Not to give
time
cash.
I'm going, I will ask whichever the organization wants what are their needs.
Okay.
They give me the list, I will buy from the market, best quality, and supply them.
So item, you can give us an example of what
Yes.
do you buy?
Rust. Most of the time, if it is hospital, I'm
Oh, wow.
buying all the medicines, what they need, they give me the list. I will buy from wholesaler and supply them. Sometimes, some organization, they made like a having a tractor or
Oh,
some
for farming, a big tractor.
farming. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. So
Yeah.
you just buy
You
it,
buy it and
give it to a family.
give it to that
Do
organization.
they have to pay you back?
No,
It's not a micro loan. It's
No,
just
no.
literally something of a need you.
okay, everything. We never
So,
asking back anything.
so naturally, me and most other Indians would be thinking and saying, you know, we're in the country now for a long time. Why? Why is that important? Why do you do that? I mean,
Charity is a good work.
charity is good
After
work. Okay,
one thing,
okay.
anybody do charity that is good. Maybe you run charity foundation here or in any other country, but we felt and I feel easy to travel around India
Mm-hmm.
than to find organization proper good
Mm-hmm.
and do some more.
Yeah. No, I'm you know, surprisingly, a lot of people that I've met, at one point in their life, they turn around and they want to do something for the community,
Right.
and there's value in doing work for them. Everyone does their own thing. Someone
Right.
focuses on education. Someone like you is
Temple, some are
buying
doing
something, or someone puts in temple. Okay.
one of the thing once
Huh.
you are retired and you have got less activity,
Mm-hmm.
you will be get bored in the home.
So then, when
And
did
you
you
may-
retire? That's my question.
Okay,
You said 12 years ago, or
no, I retired in 2010.
okay, 8 years ago.
Yeah, but actually I started retiring in 2007. It took me 3 years to fully getting retired.
Okay. So
Back and forth.
and this was from BNB
No, it was from
Technique.
Technique Engineering Company.
So did I miss somewhere where you transitioned from?
Oh yeah.
Okay, okay. When was that? Sorry.
Okay. After I left BSNB,
BSNB. Yeah.
I joined Litwin Corporation. There I worked about 10 to 10, 11 years.
10 to 11 at Litman.
And then I joined the Space Engineering, which is later on named as a Technique. And that was by a French company bought
Right,
by
right.
French.
I'm quite familiar with Technique.
Yeah. And there I worked for 15 years.
15 years in Technique.
More or
Wow.
less, yeah. And then I retired.
Wow. So when you retired, what was the job title?
At that time, I was a design supervisor and good about at least average
Mhm.
7 to 8 designers working under me.
Wow.
Electrical.
Electrical.
So
So you obviously were progressing in your in
yeah,
your career.
yeah.
So
Draftsman to designer
uh-huh,
to senior designer
uh-huh.
to supervisor, design supervisor.
And also, you know, college student to a husband to a father.
Of
So
course.
also that not only your career
Right.
track was improving, but
And
you were also gaining.
grandfather, too.
You're now then grandfather. Wonderful. You know, all of this, I'm sure you were not alone. So could you tell us more about your wife, her name,
Yes.
and then you know what was it like for women?
Right.
Mhm.
I had a lot of good support,
Mhm.
and whenever I needed, especially in USA,
Uh-huh.
I got a good support from my wife.
Can you say her name, please? I just
My wife's name is
it's for recording purpose.
Anuradha Patel,
Anuradha.
but in
G.
their home they were calling Jasumati,
Jasumati. Okay.
and that is
Wow.
her nickname.
I wonder if your grandkids know that. If
No.
they knew their grandmother's actual. So you know, just for your grandkids, how far back can you remember your dad's name, your dada's name, and your grandfather's name? Like, what is the family name?
I remember
Yeah.
I can go back
So just say it.
Okay. Manubhai's father was Dahabhai, Vanibhai,
So but that's so
what
it's
is it?
Vinod, your grandfather, your grandfather. So Vinod Bhai, then
Manubhai,
Manu Bhai,
then Dahabhai,
Daya Bhai,
Vanibhai,
Vani Bhai.
Vanibhai.
That's back into the 1800s almost.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, okay, what about Anuradha Ben at this time when she was in Houston? Does she feel like this is not the place I want to raise my kids in the 80s or seven? Yeah,
Yeah,
70s, 80s.
in the beginning, yes, she was.
Really?
Yeah,
Was it a
but
cultural shock or just not enough people around to help her?
right.
Or
But by that time, I was settled pretty
mm-hmm.
well. I had a good friend, Indian friend.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, one time it was the first day she came to Houston,
Yeah.
and there was in the night time there was ambulances running
Uh-oh.
up and down, and in the morning she asked me, "Is it a jungle around here? There are a lot of fox noise making."
Wow.
No, 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 it was not fox noise. It's a It's ambulance. Then she realized, oh,
Wow. So how does she contribute to like how what
okay,
did I mean obviously you have three daughters and you're
right.
going to temples every Saturday Sunday
Right.
but what was it that like
She
for her
was,
to make her
yeah, she
time
started with the babysitting.
babysitting
Yeah.
from
And
home like that actually was a job like earning
at
income?
home, at home,
Wow.
babysitting in the home.
Okay.
Started with a couple of babies,
Mm-hmm.
and then slowly we started catering
Food
and
catering. Yeah.
food, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when we bought the house, then we had about 6 kids in the house, 3 mines
Okay.
plus 6 little baby babysitting she was, and she was cooking,
Yeah.
catering,
Wow.
everything. So I had a good support.
I am just blown away by that every time. I mean, this is such a common story
Yeah,
amongst Indians. And I'm sure you bought a house, but the HOA probably didn't allow you to cater out of your home.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's small business,
Small business inside the
very
home.
entrepreneurial.
Right.
So you had to make do. It's
Yeah.
cash income. Wow, that is
Cash coming.
wow, wow. But it also kind of teaches cultural because your
Right.
kids are with mom
Right.
and they're
And
learning something, right?
some Indian, like I am thinking, there are lots of Indian
Mm-hmm.
parents are also
Mm-hmm.
thinking in the same line.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have Indian culture in our boys or girls.
Mm-hmm.
So they prefer Indian person to take
Mm-hmm.
care of the babies,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they were
Right,
about
right. They wanted to you know
babysitting with
use
us.
yeah. Wonderful. So how many years does she do both of those jobs or concurrently or just
No, she did it
until you
for
retired?
about I finished in Lithuania and joined the FIS also.
Mm-hmm.
So about 12, 13 years she did it, this time
Yeah.
work.
Wow. So it kept her busy, but also contributed to the family's
Right.
income,
It's a side income.
side income,
Mm.
and helped with the girls' schooling as well.
Right.
Did
Once,
did did you does she drive? Because that's a common.
right.
Yeah.
She never drove in this
What?
country. She, I didn't train her for that.
Was that on
Some,
purpose or just never
no,
happened to
this
need?
never happened, and
But you would
three,
be okay if she did learn.
right.
Okay.
But three,
Hmm.
three girls now
Right.
she has to raise,
Right.
and I prefer that they should be raised properly, taken proper attention to the children.
Hmm.
That's good enough for me.
Right. Right. So your situation was okay, where
Right,
she could work
right.
from home.
Yeah.
So
Whatever.
so you've shared a lot with us, and in my mind, I'm just blown away, because this is story of immigrant Indians that are coming into the country, studied as an engineer, trained by Russians at the time in India, uh, came to the U.S., started working in the U.S., eventually found Houston because of the weather, took part in the local development of this oil and gas industry, obviously. So
Right.
you must have worked hard to support the growth in this industry. Your wife and your daughters all went through the educational system here. Even though they were born in India, they
Yeah.
were still educated in Houston.
Yeah.
So is Houston now the home till the end, or are we planning to go to India?
No.
What is
It
no?
will be home.
Houston is home.
Houston is home. Even though I'm going every year
Right, right,
to India,
right.
still I like India.
Right, but Houston is home.
Oh,
And then how many grandkids do you have?
I've got 7 grandkids.
Seven
Uh,
grandkids.
7 grandkids. One
Uh,
of the grandkid is in Harvard
One's in
University.
Harvard
Yeah.
University. Wow. So you take education seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always tell education is first
hmm
and second is traveling.
Traveling. So
Traveling.
that's a great advice. Why is traveling so important?
I learned
hmm
from traveling a lot.
hmm
So I'm telling children that you travel, you will learn. Even though consciously, unconsciously,
hmm
but you will
Just
learn.
go.
Sure, you will get something out
hmm
of traveling.
I've had an opportunity to talk to a lot of successful Indians in Houston, from people nothing to billionaires. I've had that opportunity, and traveling is a very common theme that every one of them say you should.
You should
To the young folks of today, one guy literally said, "Grab your backpack and just go."
go.
And I don't know if I could do that,
But still,
but it's a great advice.
whenever you get a chance or
Mhm.
opportunity, you must.
So, would you like to have anything else you want to add to this? I'd like to wrap up our oral history
Mm,
interview.
mm.
And if there's any final thoughts, any final words, we do this because we want to capture the story. Because I don't think we could have found it anywhere else. The best source is you and how you recall it. So,
As far as whenever I'm hearing word discrimination, I don't know what it is
okay.
because I never felt it in this country.
hmm That's why U.S. is
I,
so great.
right. People might have felt it, they might be complaining,
hmm
but I don't have any complaint in this 50 years of my career.
hmm
I don't see anything.
hmm
If you are good to others, others are good to you.
Hmm.
As simple as that.
Wow,
That's
that's
it.
a great lesson.
Yeah.
Treat others like you want to be treated yourself.
Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate you, Mr. Patel. Thank you so much.
Thank
This is
you. Thank
awesome.
you, Ravi.
I learned a lot, and I encourage a lot more of our Indian American youth to go check out Foundation for India Studies, the website, foundationforindiastudies.org, and check out these interviews at the Harris County Public Library. And please get involved if your grandparents are around, and you're blessed to be able to record their stories, and send it to us, or tag it on Facebook, put it on YouTube, and just share that, because I think at the end of the day, if we don't start telling our own stories, no one will. So thank you so much. I'd like to sign off. Again, this is Ravi
Thank you.
Brahmbhatt with the Foundation for India Studies,
Thank you,
and thank
Ravi.
you once more.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.